Hello, Bay Ridge. Welcome to another edition of After Hours. I hope everybody came through the ice we had yesterday okay. It's all kind of melted away now. And we concluded our series yesterday on 2 John, which we were calling Authentic 2, because 1 John was authentic. And we've been looking at this idea of what it means to be authentic. And we concluded talking about community, an authentic community. And I wanted to riff on that a little bit, talk a little bit more about what it means, and particularly in light of, I think it's very apropos given the way the weather's been recently and we've all been kind of stuck inside. I wanted to get us to think about planning for authentic community, especially over the next, say, 6 or 7 weeks as the weather's going to start getting warmer, what we can do now to prepare for that. Now, as I state that, one of the things that's very interesting, of course, is I've been critiquing the way our culture thinks about the word authentic. And when we use that word authentic, we mean several things that are actually wrong. I've spoken and said, that authentic we think means just what I feel as opposed to what's actually real or genuine or true. And that's an error. Well, one of the other things that is an error regarding being authentic is that if something is authentic, it just happens. You don't plan, because if you plan for something, if you're having to prepare for it, then it's not really being authentic. But I want to say that that is completely false. That is not the truth. All that is doing, if we, as the old adage goes, if you fail to plan, you're actually planning to fail. And what is truly authentic is recognizing what is important and then putting effort towards making sure that is what is primary in our life. And this is especially true for things that are very, very important for us. We have to plan. Planning doesn't mean that it's inauthentic. It means that it's important, is what it is, and which means that we really think it is authentic. And one of the reasons this comes down is, they've done a lot of studies on business and management, and one of the things you can hear about is an old time quadrant, and they talk about the tyranny of the urgent, that we can forget in the moment what is really important to us because something else is urgent and it's kind of screaming into our ear, and we find it very difficult to pay attention to what's really, really important. And because the tyranny of the urgent does actually exist, it's critical that we plan things out ahead of time. And this especially applies to relationships. And when I say relationships, this can apply to a husband and a wife with one another, kids or grandkids, with parents and grandparents, with our friends, and with church gatherings, both Sunday and connect groups. It's essential to understand that if we want to build authentic community in all of those areas, in our family relationships, and our friendships, and our with the local church, then we have to plan ahead, or else the urgent will end up crowding out that which is truly important. So I want to just think for a couple of moments here about how we can be planning here during COVID-19, because it's more important now than it ever was to plan to build authentic community, because many of the things that just naturally happened in the past have been disrupted and will probably continue to be disrupted moving through 2021. So how do we plan now and in the spring with these disruptions? Well, what I would like you to begin doing is thinking about ways that you can get together with other people in person as the weather gets better, okay? Right now we're having to use technology a lot. Connect groups are having to meet by Zoom. You have to text or call people. As I spoke yesterday, we use technology when we don't have another option. But soon the weather's going to get better and we're going to have another option. And I want to encourage you to be thinking about that right now. It can be something as simple as, if you have a fire pit at your house, invite a friend, a couple of friends over, and just sit around the fire. And this doesn't have to wait for a weekend. It doesn't have to happen on a Friday or a Saturday. Nothing prevents you and me from getting together on a Wednesday evening for just an hour or two. Sit around a fire, spend some time. So it can even be cool outside. It's actually better when you're doing in the fire. Linda and I were doing it all the way until November. We can probably start in March. Begin thinking now and saying, maybe I can invite friends over to sit around a fire. Maybe you can meet someone to eat outside at a restaurant. I did more eating outside at restaurants than I've ever done before last year, because we can meet, we can sit outside. It's a safe area and way to be together, but we spend time. We're also right now helping because restaurants have really taken a beating, of course, during the COVID crisis, and so it's a great way to support them. Linda and I actually, our most recent stimulus check, we've decided to try and use that mainly to, get takeout and to do things like that. And some of it can go to getting together with friends and going out to a restaurant. Maybe you can meet in a park right down by Bay Ridge. We've got Quiet Waters Park right down there. You can meet outside in the park. You can meet and take a walk, just spending time walking with someone, being together, or I'll encourage with something my wife did last year. She got together with a couple of different ladies and went kayaking. Linda likes to kayak, and so she would meet and they would go off and spend an hour or two off kayaking together. Maybe you've got another activity. Maybe it's bike riding. There's some other hobby that you do, but things that can be done outside and you can do them with friends. I encourage you to do that. You can invite somebody over to sit outside and eat. Human beings did that through most of human history. We didn't have air conditioning. You sat outside and you spent time together. But the thing to do is to plan for it now. Now, the second aspect I want you to think about is planning to get together with the church. Those other relationships may include church members and certainly should, but I want you to think about planning to be with the church. We're going to be meeting outside as soon as we can. As soon as the weather's warm enough, we're going to head back outside. And I want to encourage you that you can participate in a safe manner at our outside gatherings, even if you can't come to inside gatherings. In my own family, Linda, because of her autoimmune issues, does not come to our inside gatherings, but she came to every outside gathering because it can be done safely. That is a huge field that we're meeting in. You can sit as far away from other people. You could actually be sitting 50 yards behind the next closest person and still hear everything at the meeting just fine. Most of us wouldn't choose to sit that far away. We can spread out, bring a blanket, bring an awning if when the weather starts to get warmer. Come dress comfortably, but you can be there. If you need to, you can stay in your car. But I want to challenge you that when we start meeting outside, the overwhelming majority of us can come meet outside. We've got people that have had severe things that were compromised and could cause real problems if they got COVID, and they still came to our outside gatherings because they knew they could do it safely. And if you want, you can still wear a mask at the outside gathering just to be safe. But I want to encourage you to make it a priority and begin to plan now. And I also want to encourage you that it'll be a great time to bring a friend to plan to come. Many people are just intrigued by the idea of meeting outside. We had some people just drive by and decide to stop in because they saw we were meeting outside. People did actually like the outside gatherings. I want to encourage you, maybe you can bring somebody and then plan. We're going to encourage people afterwards to stay, especially when the weather's good. We'll probably do a couple of formal church picnics during the time, but plan on just bringing lunch and staying. My family did that many times during the fall, where we had the grandkids stay with us and we'd run around and play, and it was so nice and so enjoyable just to stay together there and do it. And you can do this with other families. So I want to encourage you, now is the time to plan. Community, authentic community is important. Let's not let the urgent crowd out that which is very, very important. Plan now so that we can build strong community in the spring and summer and fall. And then hopefully, God willing, by the time late fall, when we move back inside, we will have come to the other end of the COVID crisis and can be returned to a more normal rhythm of church life. I hope this is helpful and encouraging to you, and I look forward to us being able to gather, whether in person or online this Sunday. I also want to mention that keep your eyes open. There will be another special after hours to introduce our next series, Freedom Limits, the Key to Freedom. how limits work for freedom, and what that'll be. We'll be looking at that all the way up through Easter. So I encourage you to listen in. God bless.